Lawyer talk. Here we are, yet again. Lots of great stuff happening. Jeff, I don't think we're going to talk about like cataclysmic magnetic plate shifting today.
Oh, I thought it was, the new Green Deal day.
It sort
I
of
had
is.
all my research ready.
Yeah, it sort of is the new Green Deal, but it's a little bit different Green Deal, you know, because the two things we just can never seem to get away from, or maybe the one thing we can never seem to get away from is vape and CBD.
CBD-dizzle.
Yeah, so, you know, we just, I showed up here this morning thinking I was going to do this video interview. Why? Because I'm the star of the show.
I know.
But it got stolen from me right out from underneath me.
This guy.
By Jared?
Right here.
The magic carpet yanked away at the last minute.
Oh, so you had your first set on the interview,
first
interview
solo,
stage.
interview set there, other than, you know, with the comedians on South High. This was, which they've helped me out.
Yeah, you're a pro now.
I sort of like what we're doing, though. You know, we do the interview over there, and then we drag the guest over here to the round table to really hash it out.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Oh, there he is. Yeah, I like that. I did not intend to pun, but you were quick to recognize it. Yes, you were quick to recognize it. So
I'll come with the dad jokes.
All right.
So.
I like dad jokes.
So we got a Mako Hemp Company guy, Ian, right in front of us. I've already forgotten your last name because Ian Kistler. Right here in front of us. Now he came over, and Jared. Well, we have Emily too. Emily, I've already forgotten your last name too because I'm horrible with such matters.
Sup, Nick.
Oh, you're gonna have to get right on that mic.
Oh.
Sup, Nick.
Sup,
Emily.
Nick.
Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having us.
Are you with the company too?
Yep.
Emily's our director of social media and public marketing.
Awesome.
And of course, that's what we do here: is social media and public marketing.
And we do a little bit of that down here.
At least we, you know. Anyway, but no, there's I learned quite a bit watching you guys discuss CBD, and I got to tell you, man, you know your products as well as anybody I've ever seen talk about any product I've ever encountered.
I would hope so.
I mean, well, look, you could say that like it's sort of taken for granted, but I don't take that for granted. Go ask all sorts of folks about some product they have, and I'll bet you they don't know it anywhere close to what you do.
I'm really passionate about hemp, and I have been since I was a little kid. I mean, I remember being 10, 11, 12 years old, and my mom taking me into a head shop, not to purchase pipes or anything like that, but that's because where they sold hemp clothing. It's where they sold hemp twine. I got my first copy of The Emperor Wears No Clothes at the age of 11, which is the Bible on hemp.
Really? The Emperor's New Clothes?
The Emperor Wears No Clothes.
Oh, The Emperor Wears No Clothes.
Yeah.
I was thinking back, is that Hans Christian Andersen wrote the original child's book?
Right. Stolen from
you
that
didn't
same
think
title.
I knew that, did you?
No, you're pretty educated over there.
I don't know.
So,
I just read child fables.
But in Ohio, CBD hasn't been, or hemp hasn't been available until recently, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, Ohio, and just like Indiana, where I'm from, went through black, white, gray, everywhere in between, told you could do it, told you couldn't do it, regional laws changing along with your state laws. But yeah, you guys are very new to the hemp and CBD game. We've been in it a little bit longer in Indiana, and definitely not as long as places like Oregon, Colorado, Tennessee.
Well, let me back you up. You're trying to steal my interview?
No, I was just going to say, like, did you sit by in Indiana say it's going to get, it's almost there in Ohio, so we want to jump on that market when it opens up?
Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, man. Even with the state of Indiana, right? You know, with the Farm Bill passing in 2018, hemp was allowed for everyone in the country. Indiana approved growers to start growing it. Through 19, they passed out 100 permits to growers. And then by July of 19, they told all the farmers and all the retailers, you can't sell hemp flower. So you can grow this. We'll give you a permit. You can invest hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars into this infrastructure. But what you're growing is illegal. So it got really convoluted, really crazy.
Sort of like, what was the old pronoun? Well, you could, you weren't allowed to possess it, but you could purchase, or you weren't allowed to purchase it, but you could possess it.
Right.
Yeah, that's just nonsense.
So we physically moved our business out of the great state of Indiana to the great state of Texas. And then once that law, a bunch of like-minded retailers, distributors, and manufacturers in the state of Indiana banded together with the help of a local law firm, and they sued the state of Indiana in federal court and won a federal injunction against the state for us to have the right to be purveyors of this fine CBD-rich hemp flower. And so at that time, we moved our business back in the beginning of October, and have been going full steam ever since. So yeah, and I've been an advocate for hemp for a very long time. Like I said, before I was a teenager, I was preaching the the good word of industrial hemp, right? Not on a get high sort of basis, but on this can save our world, this can feed our world, this can clothe our world, this can power our world. I mean, this is the world's #1 most renewable resource.
So talk to me. As a kid, your mother was liked hemp clothing. What's and there's some, like, the people that like hemp clothing are like, they're religious about it almost, right? I mean,
I liked it. She didn't really give a fuck, but she knew that I cared about it, so she wanted to support her son. So she took me to those places.
What's the best thing? I mean, what's the value of hemp clothing other than
sustainability?
Sustainability, is it?
Yeah, for sure. And wearability too. I mean, it's like wearing traditional canvas, right? I mean, and it's going to last longer than any traditional denim. It's more durable than your suit jackets.
Yeah.
Any of those things. Plus, it's better for our environment.
When I was a kid, I remember going to the beach with my family and going into one of these t-shirt shops, and they had hemp shirts.
Yep.
And I didn't know what that was, but I remember buying one and going back and wearing it around my high school, being like,
Somehow
I got
cool.
a weed shirt, man. Like,
Smoke it,
made out of
man.
weed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Common misconception.
Was there a time though?
I know. I don't know anything about it.
I mean, there was a time though you couldn't even grow it, right? Or it started, the federal government started to step in and limit it?
Well, yeah, for sure. Hemp production, starting back to when we colonized the United States, before it was the United States, growing hemp in our original 13 colonies was required. It was required by your town magistrate. I mean, if you had a little homestead and you had a little farm and you had a little farm, you guys were all expected to grow some amount of hemp on your farm to contribute to the supply of your town or your community's hemp stocks, to contribute to the rope needs, the canvas needs, the farm feed needs. I mean, hemp was a required crop in our United States up until World War II. I mean, they made hemp and cannabis illegal, mid-20s or so, and then brought it back for hemp for the war effort through World War II, and got all of our remaining farmers to convert over their corn crops, soybean, any of these farm fields to hemp, so that they had more hemp for rope, uniforms, any of those things. I think it was George Bush Sr. ejected out of his plane at some point in time when he was in the military, and the cords on his parachute were made out of hemp. His boot laces were made out of hemp. His uniform was made out of hemp.
Was that Coral Sea? Where was he?
I don't know.
I don't actually.
can't
If I
remember.
had The Emperor Wears No Clothes, I could pop it open and tell you. But
Yeah.
Here's what I'm confused about. So
Okay.
for people that just know nothing about this,
right,
is there a difference between hemp and marijuana?
I don't like to use the term marijuana.
Okay.
All right. So that's one of the first and foremost things that we do as the Mako Hemp Company is education. All right. Whether we sell any product or not, we're happy to be out here on the front lines educating people about the difference between CBD-rich cannabis and THC-rich cannabis. That's how we like to determine it right there, right?
Gotcha.
So what you're calling marijuana is what we call THC-rich cannabis. It's traditional weed, if you want to give that nomenclature to it. It's got a psychotropic effect. It gives you a quote-unquote high feeling, where CBD-rich cannabis is going to give you all of the same healthy and medicinal benefits that THC-rich cannabis would be, without that encumbering fuzzy head high, without that grogginess the next day, without the advent of paranoia, anxiety, any of those things. In fact, it's anti-anxiety, anti-depression, helps with sleep and rest aid, helps with appetite aid. I mean, there's so many
Is it
lists.
like, I mean, I hate to use this dumb example probably, but like growing tomatoes. Well, there's a lot of different types of tomatoes I can grow. Is it like that? Like
100%.
So I go in saying this plant is going to be grown for a CBD rich
For sure.
hemp and not.
But it traditionally hasn't been like that. For a long time, there were hemp plants and there were what you called marijuana plants or THC-rich cannabis plants. What's happened over the last 6, 8, or 10 years are hybridization products, breeding projects that have happened, where a lot of these growers and a lot of the people at the forefront of the industry have been actively breeding the THC out of the plants, to where you get
Wow.
you get plants that have less than 0.3% delta-9 THC, which is what the federal laws are written on. Anything more than that 0.3% is considered marijuana
Cannabis.
or THC-rich cannabis.
Let me interject here. What's interesting about this is now in Ohio, for instance, you can grow, or not you, people are permitted to grow hemp. But if it's grown and it has too much THC, you're sort of in that back to that bag of tricks where you're possessing something that's unlawful. You can't do anything with it. You can't sell it.
Growing shitty weed that you got to then burn.
Yeah.
And the weed isn't, even if you could smoke it, it's not what people want because it's just a little bit more than what's required.
Right.
And the product gets wasted. So there's this.
Like from a, like just looking at it perspective.
Visual standpoint.
If I get pulled over with that in my car, I don't know what a police officer is going to say to me.
Right. So, we've taken that a little bit step further. Being a retail consumer at one point, working with Jared here in the vape industry for the last 6 years or so, I'm very concerned not only with what my purveyors and my clients and customers are doing, but what the end user is going to experience as well. So something like our product right here, we've taken it a step further with the branding. So this is a double-layered, double-sealed Mylar bag. So you can't smell it, right? Which is something where a lot of these vape shops don't want their shop to smell like cannabis. They do not want to open in the morning and have it smell like a frat house.
Yeah. I mean, what a strange phenomenon that this stuff just ended up in vape shops. I mean, it's like you went from it was vape, and now they're the ones just sort of dispensing the CBD.
One of the main purveyors of the CBD product. Well, that's the kicker too, right? You know, a lot of people that have smoked THC-rich cannabis for a long time, they vape as well. They smoked cigarettes as well. They go to these stores, and in the midst of the vape apocalypse, as I like to call it, over the last 120, 180 days, as we've seen the demise of the vape industry, CBD has helped help these shops bring margin back into their stores, and then they've been able to help their client base as well. A lot of customers go to these stores because of customer service, because they know that they can trust what these people are saying behind the counter.
And this stuff, I mean, I'm looking at, I mean, we'll be able to see this on video too, but I'm looking at what seems to me like some
really good marijuana,
some good bud there.
Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to say that.
Am I
really? But what was it?
Is this
some kind of cannabis, THC-rich cannabis?
But you can vape this, right? I mean, you can. The same devices can be used, or similar devices to the vape or the tobacco vape, or what's the?
No, because traditional e-liquid would be in a liquid form, where this is a plant material. So you could use a dry herb vaporizer, you could use a volcano, you could use any number of that style of vaporizer, but you couldn't use a traditional electronic cigarette like we have sitting here on the table that you would use for a smoking cessation aid or harm reduction aid, if you want to call it that. We've taken the packaging a little bit further too. On the front side, it's got a full scannable UPC barcode, so any shop employee can scan it into their POS system, scan it out, track inventory. Right next to that is a QR code. Indiana was at the forefront of QR codes on CBD products. By scanning this QR code, it's going to bring up the test results, which is going to show its varying THC, CBD, CBN, CBG levels, what keeps it legal. And it's sealed. It's factory sealed. So like you said, if you were to get pulled over, you don't know what the cop would say. Well, you would produce your receipt from Advanced Vapor Westerville. You would say, hey, I purchased this here. Here's my receipt of purchase. This is factory sealed. Please scan the QR code. And let me go along my way.
Now, do you guys actually have the capacity to create receipts over there?
We do. Oh. We've got a printer and all. It even says, thank you for stopping by.
Oh, all right.
And what's crazy about
he was just using Post-it notes for a while with a pen.
With the advent of all of this happening, now we get into testing, and testing on multiple sides, right? And from a law enforcement standpoint, it's more expensive for a police department to try to take this and run this sample, right, and test it themselves to then try and prosecute you. It's easier for them to just let it go.
Well, now you're in our wheelhouse, right?
That,
so
but
here's the thing.
They'll spend money on some stuff they maybe shouldn't be.
Yeah, never think that they won't do it because somebody always gets prosecuted. But on the other hand, there has been locally this moratorium, so to speak, on prosecuting marijuana cases because of what you're talking about. I mean, the testing differentials are just they're too narrow. The margins are too narrow to know.
Sure. It's cost prohibitive.
Yeah, and it just is not worth the effort. And that's changed. It's changed the landscape of things a bit as far as criminal prosecutions for weed, anyway.
But with it not having a level of THC, I should be able to wrap it and smoke it in my car when I drive.
You should, but let's be honest. This looks like
and smells
cannabis, and it smells like cannabis, and it tastes like cannabis because it is cannabis, but it's CBD-rich cannabis, right? Without THC in it. So you need to be careful. And, myself, when I talk to end users, we run a weekly farmers market that we set up at and have a booth and educate people at. And I know Jared and his employees, they urge customers to take this product to the safety of their own home. Leave it sealed. Please don't open it in your car. Please don't be driving around smoking something that looks like a joint, because as soon as you take it out of our sealed packaging, now the burden of proof is on you.
No.
All right? Before it's on the store and the shop and me as the manufacturer producing it, sealing it in this package. But our packaging is tamper evident as well. So if you were to open this bag, the law enforcement officer that pulled you over is going to see that the packaging is shredded. They're clearly going to see that you opened and tampered with it.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess that begs a question a little bit. I understand the protection. What you're saying is don't be a jackass. I mean, that's sort of my don't be a jackass rule. It's like if you wander around and do this in somebody's face, somebody's going to be bound to ask questions sooner or later. And then if they do ask questions, of course, you want to be armed with all the information.
It's not a matter of
if,
it's when.
Yeah. And if you're just careful about it, you're allowed to do it anyway. So just do it responsibly, I think, is what the message is.
Yep.
Now, when I was in Nashville, we found the group that was selling it there on the side of Broadway, their main strip, and they were selling Lucy's. They were selling joints, and people were lighting them up and walking up and down the streets and smoking them. And I talked with the vendor. He had his peddler's license. He had his vendors. He had his, he had all of his paperwork there, and he was allowed to sell it, and people were buying them and walking down and smoking down the ways. Now, once again, you can't smoke in the bars even there. You can't smoke a cigarette. You can't say, well, this isn't a cigarette. There's there's no smoking in here. But it didn't seem to have any problems as people were walking up and down.
Nashville and Tennessee on a whole are a little bit of a different gem in this pile, right? They have been at the forefront of advocacy for hemp and for their farmers and for their local constituents. And they've been way, way more tolerant than places like Ohio or Indiana, right? Where, though you guys have medical now, it's only very recently that you finally got this pushed through.
And it's not like the medical we think of. I can't just go in there and say I have anxiety and get a card.
No, it's way different. And the scripts have time limits on them, and the day for your script amounts to how much you can actually get out of there. And it doesn't actually work for anybody who needs this on a medicinally beneficial level. That's where this comes in, right? I mean, this is inherently more medicinally beneficial than any THC-rich cannabis that you're going to find at a medical dispensary.
I was just going to ask that question because I used to say sort of, I had no idea what I was talking about, and I still really don't. But I used to say, nobody would care about marijuana being legal if they legalized it by stripping everything out of the weed that got you high.
And that's exactly what is right here.
And that's what's right in front of me.
100%.
And so it's like if it's so medicinal, then just create it without the THC that gets you high. So which begs the next question is, what's the other side going to say? Is the other side going to say, no, you don't understand because there's more benefits in the THC? We understand you may not want that part of it because you're going to get high and you don't like all the effects you were talking about, but you still derive extra medicinal benefits from that. Or is it just they like to get high, or both?
It's a little bit of both. There are certain people in certain sects of life that like to get high. You know what I mean? Vice is part of our culture. That being said, I want to say that there's more people out there that are looking for a medicinal health benefit than there are that want to get high.
Or if you're going to broaden the market, then certainly that's where you would look.
Right. Well, and we were discussing this off the air earlier. You look at places and cultures, even in our country now, that are destigmatized to it. You go to Denver and Colorado, most of the youth, most of the kids, most of these high schoolers, they're not concerned with getting a bag of weed. It doesn't matter to them. I mean, they've had medical cannabis there since 2009. They've had recreational cannabis there for many years as well. These kids aren't concerned with that same thing. It's not the way it was back when we were in high school. It's completely different because it's been desensitized. And we talked off the air about, drinking ages in other countries, right? I was 15 when I went to Italy. I was the only 15-year-old in the bar drinking, right? Because it was cool to me. I didn't have these rules at home. Much different. No other 15-year-olds were out there. All the older patrons in the bar were looking at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
What are you doing here getting intoxicated at the age of 15? It was so desensitized to all these kids because they're drinking wine at dinner with their families. People, the abuse of alcohol isn't as rampant in that. And so the more we can desensitize this, the more we can take the stigma away from cannabis on a whole, whether it's THC rich or CBD rich, the farther and longer this industry is going to last.
Well, I got to ask, I'm going to follow up on a few things, but I'll start here. I talked to a contact of mine, a friend of mine, in fact, who's sort of on the cutting edge of this stuff locally anyway, and nationally in a lot of ways. And I was able to sit in on a meeting that he was having with various folks who are contemplating growing this stuff in Ohio. And I learned some things. I learned that you can't just go plant it wherever there was a farm field, because this stuff is very sensitive to contaminants and certain types of soil, and it can produce bad hemp, I guess.
Well, yeah, actually, hemp is, like I said, our world's #1 most renewable resource. If our farmers had used hemp as a rotation crop through the 20s into the 30s, we probably wouldn't have had the Dust Bowl the way we would have. Right? It wouldn't have worked like that. Hemp is amazing at pulling toxins and bad chemicals out of the ground.
Which was the next thing he said. You have to go through a couple cycles and it cleans it. It's sort of interesting, right?
It cleans the soil, but it also throws wonderful things like NPKs back into the ground. Nitrogen, potassium, these things that the rest of the plants need. And so, yeah, you do have to be careful about where you plant it. That's what's wonderful about a lot of the mom and pop farms that we work with. Most of them used to be vegetable producers, fruit producers. They grew peppers, they grew microgreens, they grew lettuces, they grew all of these wonderful things, had USDA approved organic permits. So their soil had been checked and vetted. I mean, I think to get that USDA permit to have an organic agricultural grow, you're looking at like 3+ years of soil samples and studies by the U.S. Department of Agriculture before they'll give you that stamp of approval. And then that approval lasts for X amount of years, and then these people switched over to hemp production. So their hemp is grown under those same parameters, in that same soil. And so you do have to be careful about where you plant it, but it'll grow anywhere, right?
No, it'll grow, but the question is it usable or for the purpose that you want to use it?
For sure.
I suspect that industrial hemp probably has less stringent margins on stuff like that.
Most definitely.
So the other question I have is FDA. Those are actually not a question, but what about the FDA? What is what's coming? I mean, is it a drug? Is it a substance? Is it something in between? Is it food? What are we doing here?
I honestly don't know. I can't speak for them. There's guidance that's put out.
I'm asking you to speculate.
All right, little speculation. There's guidance that's been put out by the USDA and by the FDA, but I don't think it's at the forefront of their purview right now. I really think they have much bigger fish to fry, though it is something that needs to be tackled. I think they're seeing.
I might disagree with you on that. The fish, the size of the fish to organizations like that has everything to do with the money and the political power. So the question is, when is it going to be? I mean, is there a lot of money in it? Who's going to be responsible for it? How's it going to get regulated? And how does the government grab the bite of it? I guess is going to be really those are the answers we're looking for.
Right, and that's all coming down the pipeline, and we're seeing those type of laws change regionally, locally, on state levels and on national levels every week of every month. Just like you guys experienced from Ohio being gray, black, white, you can do this, you can't do this, this is illegal, though next door it's completely legal, you can drive over the border and grab this, but you can't come here. Yeah. It's changing every week. I know the U.S. Department of Agriculture released guidance back in, September, October of 2019, and they put out like a 60-day question period, and then they were going to release guidance about what they wanted to do for, THC on a whole across the United States, and they haven't released anything since then, right?
Well, I mean, now you always got to take it somewhere a little bit esoteric, but there was a time probably in your grandparents' lives where every state you went to, it was different, right? The borders actually meant something, which is a lot more than what they mean now. I mean, we cross over to Indianapolis or Indiana. I mean, it's like you barely even notice. All I know is there's that candle shop that I go by, and that's about it.
Fireworks store?
Yeah, the fireworks store and a candle shop. Right. But, so it's odd that we all just sort of presume that the federal government is going to just take control of this and do it. I mean, and I think it speaks to how much power the government has to sort of preempt the market, I guess, is what it would be.
A lot of what's going to play into this is interstate commerce laws as well. Farmers being able to do business across state lines, as well as manufacturers and distributors, places where some of this hemp is being taken and extracted. It might be grown in Indiana, but the extraction and fulfillment facility might be in Illinois. And if there's rules and laws against transporting that's what's going to dictate a lot of what happens.
Well, you're right. And what's going to happen is that the second the government thinks it wants to start trying to control the price or the supply, then it has to take over and they'll justify it with interstate commerce for sure. They'll say, we have the right to regulate this. It's if you just go back and study the New Deal, that's how it all happened. But I think there's going to be a broader angle on it or a different angle on it when it comes to another source of money, which is going to be the big pharmaceutical companies saying, we want control and we have a lot more lobbying dollars. And we think the federal government should regulate it because of come up with whatever reason, and then let us be the ones that supply it.
Yep.
I mean, what's the fear there, or is there one, or does it?
Yeah. There's definitely fear, especially for a lot of the mom and pop farms that we work with. One of the main farms that we deal with that grows the Electra that we have and the Lifter. It's a USDA approved organic farm. They grew vegetables for the last 10 years or so. Little mom and pop farm. I think they have 3 to 5 farm hands. They grew 5,000 plants in 18. They grew 6,000 plants in 19. I mean, that's not a lot of plants. You can fit roughly 2,000 to 3,000 plants per acre. So they're planting 2.5 acres. I mean, it's nothing, but it's their living.
But it's awesome for you too, because it gives you some little bit of quality control. You get to go look, and I heard you talking about this. And one of the most impressive things I heard him talk about over there with you, Jared, was you actually go out, you get to walk the farms, you get to see the plants, almost hand pick what you're getting.
Yep. Yep.
So this didn't just come to you in the mail and
No.
Randomly. You actually had a selection.
100%.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, because we really care about what's going in these bags, not only for our own branding and for our own company, but because people are taking this with medicinal benefit. They're using it to help themselves, potentially eliminate their need on pharmaceuticals, potentially alleviate pain needs that they have, help them sleep at night again. I mean, if you hop on our Facebook page and read real reviews from real customers, you will literally see people on there like, best sleep I've had in 3 years, best sleep I've had in 6 years.
That's awesome.
Never slept
great.
like this before. I use this and I stopped taking 6 of my pharmaceutical medications that I was taking, and at a fraction of the price. You and I were speaking earlier about the bioavailability of this product, right? CBD has become a huge thing. And now people, at first, it was just CBD on a whole. They didn't care what they were taking. CBD is good for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to take
Gummies,
CBD.
pills,
Didn't matter
liquids.
what it was, and they didn't realize there was different types of CBD. CBD isolate, full spectrum CBD, broad spectrum CBD, CBD in a powder form, CBD in a water soluble form. All of these different things that came about. As bioavailability goes, and the best way for you to get CBD in your system, the quickest and the most financially feasible for the end user, it would be smoking CBD-rich hemp flower.
So
And you say that's the most potent too. I mean,
For
you're
sure.
going to get the most effect out of that.
And the most bang for your buck, and it's going to be the quickest acting as well.
Because I would say for about a year, I've used, whether it's a vape or just liquid that you drop under your tongue, CBD liquid.
The tinctures.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know that I necessarily, we would joke that this is like snake oil.
You don't know if you're feeling it or not.
Sure.
It's
It's the you go to or what's the pharmacy? CVS.
I mean, they
You go
sell
to
it
CVS.
at Giant Eagle. You can get
for sure.
Shove a Giant
Family
Eagle
video.
now. Yeah, family video.
or a gas station or something. See,
Right.
this even just the packaging and your information and knowledge about it gives me a lot more
Level of comfort.
and serenity about no pun. See, we're going to use it because it's going to make you very serene. But it gives me a lot more comfort that this is actually something.
For sure. Well, and that's the kicker, right? You got to vet the CBD that you're purchasing. If there's not a QR code on that package and you can't scan it and you can't understand what it says, I probably wouldn't buy it. And if the person behind the counter can't talk to you about the product, I probably wouldn't buy it. That's why, I urge people to not purchase CBD from gas stations or from video stores or from, a CVS, right? You're going there to get toothpaste and Q-tips and get your prescription filled. You're not going there for...
What do you actually buy at CVS? I mean, it's a drugstore, I get it, but do you actually go? Is that a destination for you for anything other than your
asking
medication?
me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've gone to CVS before.
on purpose. Or is it just you happen to need something really quickly? So
They
you
have kind of a cool little toy aisle there. My kids like.
Oh my God.
You know,
It's like I
they've
know, but
got,
it's like buying
they've
candy.
got candy. They've got.
It's like
I'm trying to
buying
think what else
toys
I've
at the
gone in there
hospital
for.
gift shop.
I think I've gone in there one time years ago to get insoles for my shoes. They have a bunch of different those.
I
there.
used to buy cigarettes, but they don't.
Yeah.
They don't sell them
They don't
there
sell
anymore.
those
Yeah.
there. And you don't smoke them
candy's a big
anymore.
I
one.
don't.
They have like 2 for $10 or something. You get all sorts of candy deals.
Yeah, there's
sometimes.
candy deals.
I go buy them right back to get my medication or my scripts.
I guess you're right though. I've never put my keys in the car going, I am going to drive from my house and go to CVS today. Like you're just driving by and you're like, oh, I can stop in there and get this. You know what I mean?
It's because it's convenient, I suppose. Or is it? I don't even know. Anyway, then we get off
That
track
stuff is
there.
great, by the way.
The bomb.
The bomb.
The bomb.
So that's our topical balm, if you want to call that. I don't want to say that it is for pain. I don't want to say that it is for any of that because I can't actually say those claims out there. Brands that are carried in CVS, though, they can market that way. Right?
You know, they do.
I mean, they
market
got
that
these
way.
do,
Yeah.
and they don't get in trouble for it. The FDA loves to attack small, no-name CBD companies for sitting there saying, you're making false medical claims. We didn't approve this. You can't say that.
Well, there's this big disclaimer on this thing that says all those.
Well, I think, there's honesty in sometimes the recognition on what you can and can't say about something. I mean, snake oil, I mean, the quintessential snake oil is it solves all your problems. I guarantee it. And then you're gone off to the next town. So, yeah, guarantee means nothing. But if you say, look, here's what people are reporting to me. Try it. Tell me what you think about it. And you're a local guy in a local business, in a local community. And now there's some recourse if it doesn't.
For sure.
If it isn't what you say. And I imagine you'd honor your
100%.
the things you say about it too. So
I mean, whenever I was buying e-liquid from you, you took me on a tour of your factory.
Yep.
We walked through, the whole bottling, and you showed me, and it was very impressive.
Right.
The clean rooms, how people were dressed, the walkthrough to get in.
Yep.
And that helped me in working with Mako because I get mailers, phone calls. There's a number of companies that want me to pick up. And a lot of them, I'm with you. I'm like, is this snake oil? Is this even real? Where is this at? You, as a partner with Advanced Vapor, have helped us in a large way with education and tools to help my staff to make sure that we educate and teach the end user.
For sure.
And help them because everybody's goals are different. People will come in, they're like, well, what's the best? And it's like, well, before we go to what's the best,
what do you need?
What do you need? Because this is about you. It's not about me. It's not, what do you like?
Right.
Well, I'll explain to you what I like and how I've used it. Going through whenever you send me the samples, I remember one day I was out in I'm ADHD, I'm dyslexic, I'm bouncing I'm hyperactive.
Yeah, he's all those things.
And I'm all of those things. And I remember I used your product and I was out there doing a bunch of filing and paperwork, which I absolutely hate.
But
and
you did it all.
I don't know if it was, that's why I started, I found myself in a zone.
Focused.
And I was focused and I was getting things done.
One did you
why?
take? I want
Because
to know
on
exactly.
the way to find
Lifter?
the CBD, he found a bag of cocaine.
That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
But,
Some of that nose came.
But let's go back to the snake oil and the tinctures that you were taking and versus the hemp flower and that everything's in between, right? You can get CBD in all these different forms, but how is it getting into your body and how effective is it, right? So those tinctures, those drops, they are the most expensive for us to manufacture. They are the most expensive for a consumer to purchase. And on a whole, they're the least effective way to get CBD in your body. It's an oil-based product, right? You're a water-based entity. Oil and water just don't mix. That's simple science. So you take 1,000 milligram bottle of tincture, even if you drank the entire bottle, your body's only going to let you absorb 30 to 40% of that. So you're paying $70 to $100 for this little bottle, and you're only getting 300 to 400 milligrams of the 1,000 that it says on there. Yeah. Now we go to the complete other side of the spectrum. You take the CBD-rich hemp flower, you're getting an 85 to 95% absorption rate of the CBD that's listed on the packaging when you smoke it. And you need an nth of the amount, and it costs an nth of the price.
Do you need to deliver it? I mean, we talked about vaping out of the volcanoes or whatever. Is there a difference between doing it with a non-combustion delivery mechanism, or is it better just to roll it up and
smoking it? Rolling up and smoking a fatty is by far the most effective way for you to get CBD into your system. Now, in between there are a couple other products like water-soluble products, edibles in the form of gummies, soft gels, or even the balm that you picked up, topicals as well. Most of those products are going to fall you in the 60 to 80% absorption range, right in the middle there.
If I have a grandmother that should be taking this but doesn't want to smoke it, can you put it in a batch of brownies?
You totally could, but what you would need to do is you would need to heat it up to activation, not heat it to burning. You need to do what's called decarboxylating it. So basically, Granny would want to take it, put it out on a little baking tray, turn on her toaster oven to the right temperature. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's different for every strain, but you want to heat it up enough to where the CBD molecules inside become active. And they kind of expand and open, and then you can chop that up and put it into your favorite butter recipe, mix it right into your brownies. We've taken it a step further, though. We have other products that we carry that you can find on MakoHemp.com, or we have an additional website called MySimpleCBD.com, and we have cooking oil ready to use, 800 milligrams in a bottle, infused into MCT, infused into coconut oil, ready to cook with. We have a blue agave syrup that is phenomenal. A lot of people are replacing it for the sugars they use daily, whether in their coffee or tea, whether in their baking recipes, literally putting it on the pancakes instead of syrup in the morning. We have CBD-rich coffee, both isolate and full spectrum versions as well. We have CBD honey. We have
coffee. I'd like to try that.
We're gonna see. We've already talked. We're cutting deals down here like you wouldn't believe.
We're gonna get you guys some CBD coffee. We're gonna get you some coffee cups for it too. But it might need to be an evening recording of the podcast because we call it nighttime coffee.
I want that then.
Okay.
So
can you get decaf?
Can I grind it?
That defeats the purpose of coffee.
Well, maybe. So I mean, but if you're putting a depressant into a stimulant,
we don't make decaffeinated coffee. I'm a coffee snob.
I am too, believe me.
Yeah.
I can grind. It's beans, right? I can grind the beans because I like espresso. I like it very dark, small. I just like.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I love.
Awesome.
That you'll work perfect for it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a nice medium to full body roasts. Really gourmet, small batch roasted, infused during roasting as well. 500 milligrams per bag. But there's something about that coffee, man. We, the very first time we tried it, we had a meeting with someone very similar to Jared. We were trying to lock down a new account. We came in for the meeting. They're like, oh man, that coffee smells great. I got a grinder here. Can we try some? It's like 10 a.m. Sure, yeah, let's all have some coffee. He pulls out coffee cups. We make some coffee. 20, 25 minutes in, we all got the coffee buzz. By 30 minutes, we're all slumped down in the chairs. One of us is falling asleep. I mean, it literally relaxes you beyond belief. So I call it nighttime coffee.
Okay.
So if you guys are going to do it on the show, maybe we do an evening recording when we sample the coffee.
I
That
think we
way,
should.
everybody's ready to go
I
home
like
for the
coffee.
evening.
Now, Beard, I have brought in a product that I do sell at my store, which is the Storks and Bickle Volcano.
I see. I saw that thing back
it's
there.
Setting
Let's
over
get that
here.
thing out.
Yeah.
We've got I've got it fired up. I've got it turned on. We've got John over here. He can operate it.
I was going to say, can we test out some of these products? Are we allowed to smoke in this building?
Your building.
Well, we're going to
You
vape.
make the
Oh, I'm
call.
the owner?
We're going
Yeah.
to vape. We're going
Well-
to use a harm reduction now. I would like to know your opinion on what do you think this device. Now, you told me the numbers that we get through smoking, which I know is going to be higher than here. But I've always felt that the difference between this and THC machines is that this extracts the THC better. Are you saying there's a difference?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to act the same way it does, right? The volcano is heating up that THC or those CBDs to the point of activation, producing a slight amount of vapor into there, depending on how hot you have it, right? You got it turned down to that right temp. It'll be pretty clear when it's filling up that bag. If it's burning a little hot, it'll have a little bit of some white smoke in there as well. But yeah, I think we're going to get the same style effects. This will be a first for me
Because
as well.
I smoked for 23 years, and I have really steered myself of not lighting something on fire and taking
sure.
a drag at the other end of it.
You might need to turn the temp down on that just a little bit, John. Yeah.
That tastes good.
Yeah, I'm
that
really
tastes-
excited
that tastes
because
good.
for all the
Am
time.
I going to be on my behind?
No,
Is
no,
that-
you're gonna be good.
No,
What do we smoke or what are we vaping here?
We are vaporizing the Hawaiian
push that in?
Haze. The Hawaiian Haze is an organic strain grown in eastern Tennessee by a very good
Sorry.
buddy of mine.
Emily's over there like, what the heck is that guy just
Jackson
do?
at the Perfect Plant down there, and they do phenomenal product. They QC it all. This has been one of the
What's the reported effect of the Hawaiian Haze? Is it like anti-anxiety? Is it anti-stress? Which one is this
100%.
one?
Wow, this smells phenomenal.
Oh,
I'm excited. Hold on. Somebody
it
drooled
tastes
all
delicious.
over it. Who am I kissing here?
It's me. I'm sorry,
Kissing
dude.
the beard, huh?
I'm sorry, dude.
It's beard-to-beard action.
Oh, that's delicious. That's
See,
absolutely delicious. And so what the vaporizer provides you is a much more.
I'm going to, but I'm getting the hind tit here.
No, take it, take it. John's gonna fill us up again. So yeah, some of the things that you may experience, and you guys can all give your personal opinions here.
It does it has good flavor.
It's got a phenomenal flavor to
Yeah.
it. You're gonna notice yourself, whether you're anxious or not, you're gonna find a whole new level of
I don't know. what
down.
you're
There, chill,
talking
down.
about.
Thank you, Emily. Relaxation. You're gonna notice focus, like Jared talked about as well. The
You
Hawaiian.
guys just all calmed down.
Yep, everyone did.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah. The Hawaiian Haze is a sativa dominant strain, and just like CBD or THC rich cannabis, there are strains in the CBD rich cannabis as well.
This Hawaiian Haze. Now this
Man, that
says
tastes so good.
how much is in this bag? I'm
it
holding?
has
This
really
is,
good flavor.
What is the thing?
That
It's
looks like
clean.
7 grams.
And, you know what I
7
mean?
grams.
It's
Now,
like
what's the? If I wanted to go, I can buy this on your website.
You can buy it on my website or
Advanced Vapor Westerville.
Westerville.
536 South State Street, Westerville, Ohio.
Oh, you're trying to plug your store too.
I'm trying to get it in there. I have it on my
do you
shelves.
sell that thing?
No,
that
so you
volcano
sell it
over
just
there?
like this. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the price of this on your shelves, Jared?
I'd have to look that up off the top of my head. I can't remember.
I think
what it's at.
MSRP is $40 to $45 for that bag.
I'm the same price as your website.
$40.
So how much in that volcano he just loaded with that bag?
Oh
Like,
my
How
God.
many of those
Very
could you get in
small
there?
amount.
Oh my!
A
He
lot.
put probably 0.2 of 1 gram in there.
Okay, so for 75, you said $75?
No,
Ish?
that's a 7 gram bag for $40.
Oh, 40. Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I get a lot of smoke out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
Tons.
what is a dose? Now we just is it one bag would be a dose or what? Or
That
I'm
would
sure
be
it
a
all
very
depends.
big dose if you took that one bag. So I think the way studies have come out, and you know, there's still a lot of negative stigma associated with the education behind CBD and cannabis research. But what a lot of medical institutions that are leading the forefront of this have said, you know, a recommended adult daily dose for CBD would be 10 to 12 milligrams. And so you can take the percentage of CBD that's on that bag. What does it say? 12.62.
Yeah.
We'll move that decimal point over one place to the right, and then we know how many milligrams there are per gram. So there's 126 milligrams per gram of flour in that bag. So we all just took a real nice healthy dose by taking one puff of that. We all easily took in that 10 milligrams. If I'm doing my math right, yeah. So if there's 126 milligrams per gram and he put 2/10 or 3/10 of that gram in there, we all got a nice little chunk of it. But we can all feel it, right? We all took one hit. You can.
I can.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
it is calming.
Right.
I mean,
and it's
you can
way
definitely-
different than
it
you
is
taking
not
your
like
drops.
any
My way
liquid.
first this time.
Never. Okay.
Not like any liquid I've
that's
ever
something
had.
else about the product
No.
we provide as well,
And
right?
it's instant.
Instantaneous.
Instant,
And
yeah.
it's incredibly more priced more obtainably for the end user, for the consumer, and that's what we're looking to do. We're
That
looking
is
to
one
help
thing
people.
that I found wonderful
Yes,
about this
please.
is, like you said, we have bottles there, and it's not like I'm getting rich off of it,
Right.
And I mean, it's over $100 a bottle, and
Easily.
it's just. And you have when somebody comes in and they have ailments that they've been told or believe they're going to help out there, and they spend over $100 with me.
And they don't get the relief they need,
Yeah.
and they come back in, they're dissatisfied. Let's talk about myself, right? I've suffered with anxiety for years, ever since I was a little kid, on tons of different pharmaceuticals, tons of different prescriptions, never found anything.
So let me ask you then,
Yeah.
what have you tried for your anxiety?
Oh my gosh!
Boost Bar and
I
and
stopped taking pills when I was like
Xanax
17 or
and
18.
all the biggies.
You can keep going down the list.
Zoloft is another one, sort of
Yep,
type
for sure. I
psychotropic
definitely
there.
took
Yeah.
that. At the time when I was younger, I used THC-rich cannabis to cope with that. And as the years have gone on and the cannabis has gotten stronger, instead of subsiding my anxiety, it's made it worse.
Well, it creates its own need.
100%,
Yeah.
right? And it has the opposite effect. Now when I find myself having an onset of an anxiety attack, being a little anxious, being a little stressed out, I can literally do what we just did. I can pull out one of our pre-rolled joints. I can take 4 to 5 puffs of it and literally watch my anxiety wash away. And it's instantaneous. So let's talk about someone who is debilitated by anxiety in their daily life. Let's talk about somebody who has a fear of going outside sometimes, or there's too many people at the grocery store for them to go shopping, and they start having that anxiety attack. They found that CBD works for them, but buying one of those $100 bottles of tincture and then trying to take it in the midst of an anxiety attack, it's got to process all the way through their system. It could be 30, 45 minutes, an hour before that oil processes through, and then they're only getting a 30 to 40% absorption rate.
Well, and if you're the drugs I mentioned, I mean, those are big boy drugs. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
those are
yeah.
very addictive. Or Boost Bar may be the least addictive of all of them, and maybe the Zoloft. But you're not going to get any value out of that for at least 30 days or 45 days.
Exactly,
And a lot
because
of them have really negative
Horrible
side
There's
effects.
huge side effects. You gain weight, or
Yep.
you have
Yep.
other depression issues that happen,
Right. Or you don't
And you
feel
have
any.
to match it to your body's chemistry too.
Right.
So
Or you
might,
don't
might
feel
not
anything.
even work.
Yeah, and I guess here, this did not. I would think that this is significantly less detrimental as a side effect from side effect
the
considerations.
only side effect that I ever tell our consumers that they're going to have is they're going to go to sleep a little bit earlier than they would have. Literally.
that might be impossible
I mean,
For you,
for me. I go to
I
sleep
would-
pretty. I'm just kidding.
you don't sleep that well.
bed before 10,
I sleep early.
Well,
oh, yeah.
bed after the early bird special.
It depends on if I have my kids or not. But
Okay.
if I don't have kids, and as soon as I can go to sleep.
But do
I'll
you
go to
feel
sleep.
like it helps with a sleep that's
Oh
an
my
8-hour
gosh.
sleep?
Oh my gosh, yeah, and that's
See,
one
that's
of the
what you
biggest.
struggle. You get up in the middle of the night,
Yeah,
right?
I mean that's one of the biggest things that I struggled with was
3,
not
4.
not just falling asleep, but staying asleep, waking up 10,
Yeah,
12,
that's my
15
issue.
times
I mean,
a night.
the stress, our stress
Yeah.
wakes us up.
Our
That's what I
stress wakes
think.
it up. Now, there's. See, I go to bed early now, so I'm probably getting 6 hours of sleep,
Which is-
6
which is-
to 8,
yeah.
maybe. But it can I say it's restful? I'm not necessarily waking up,
It's not uninterrupted though.
but if I do, it's done.
You can't go back to sleep.
The brain turns on.
Right.
It is done. Now, some of that is my own fault. Some of that I've done to myself because if you start, I do believe that we have
Flip the phone on, turn on the blue light, then you're up.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you this. With the last year plus being in business with this company, having access to a lot of high quality CBD products, not only my own, but samples, because we distribute a lot of products as well. So people send me samples all the time. I'm forever trying different types of gummies and tinctures and all of that. I find that I've slept better in the last year than I have for the last 32 years of my life. The only time I slept better was when I was a baby. I also find that not only do I not have interrupted sleep anymore, when I do, I have the necessary means to put myself right back to sleep. Right. So I found that, and with CBD and sleep, it's different for every person. There are certain people who could take the CBD and then miss the window. right? You eat a couple gummies, they kick in 30 minutes later or so, but you still have a couple things to do with the kids. And then you might have missed that window where you got extra tired and then you've pushed through it and now you're awake again. The flower is so much easier to use and to dose with because it's like, oh, I'm about to go to sleep. Everything's done. 5 minutes before bed, I'm going to take 3 or 4 hits off my pre-roll and I'm going to go to sleep. And we put it in a resealable tube and a resealable bag. So it doesn't smell. It doesn't stink once you've resealed it. You wake up in the middle of the night and happen to grab another 3 or 4 hits and watch
What's
your
going
ass
on, honey?
fall
Just
right back asleep.
Smoking a doobie over
That's
here.
right.
No big deal.
So tell me this: if I'm, let's say, I work for a trucking company and I'm regularly drug tested,
Yep.
what if I'm using this product?
You might fail a drug test,
Okay.
but that's for a number of different factors, right? And so that's part of what I was talking about with testing earlier. We're battling education from multiple different forefronts here, and a lot of it has to do with testing, not only field testing, police testing, but on the drug testing side as well, right? A lot of government workers, truckers, people that are in high-risk jobs that are drug tested randomly. I would not recommend using the CBD rich hemp flower until you've talked to your HR department and figured out what type of test they're administering. So what we found out through this, through trial and error, through talking with friends and colleagues and even clients and customers, there are a lot of drug tests that are on the market that are cheap for employment, places of employment to purchase, HRs to purchase. And at some point in time, the way that quote unquote testing happened, they changed the labeling. So they used to test you for THC and the rest of the panels, cocaine and opiates and all of these things, right? At some point, it became cheaper to test for cannabinoids on a whole and just label it as THC. So you see what are called a lot of false positives. And then now we're seeing a lot of people go back to HR before losing their jobs. HR comes to them, hey, here's your random test. Oh, well, hey, just to let you know, I'm using these CBD products. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's cool. You're okay to use CBD. Please take the drug test. Oh, well, you failed for THC. Well, I'm not using any THC. I'm only using CBD isolate. There is no THC in it. I'm not even using hemp flower. Well, you still failed. Can I have a confirmational test, please? Can you please show me that you're actually testing my urine or my saliva sample or my hair sample for THC specifically? And a lot of new testing is coming out through these drug testing companies. But what we found is a lot of these companies were getting away with these false positives and people were losing their jobs, for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
there's still, what do they have to put on it? 0.3?
0.3,
So there's
0.3 of 1%.
something.
There is. And
Trace.
that's exactly. And that's for bioavailability as well, right? Full spectrum products, as they're called, that have all of the cannabinoids in them, including THC, those are the most bioavailable for your body. I don't like to use this term, but it has what's called the entourage effect. One helps the other, helps the other, helps the other. I mean, we have an endocannabinoid system in our body. We have CBD and THC and CBG receptors, and we even make and emit little amounts of it as well, and it wants more of it. So a little bit goes a long way. That being said, our balm is incredibly effective. We have no need to put any THC in that product at all, not even federally compliant amounts, just because it's not needed.
Is it a balm? Like, is it a lotion? Is it
it's a thicker beeswax,
Pass that over. Let's
coconut
take
oil type consistency.
It's magic.
It's
Is this
magic.
open? I can't
Open it up.
Yeah, open it up. Your gravy. So what we found with it's tamper evidence sealed with that shrink band on there.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
I have found that some of the paperwork
go.
I've
Protecting
gotten
itself from me, too.
from Mako, that I look on the THC lines, and some of them are like 0.00094.
Non-detectable, right? Yeah. So some of our
With your scanning, we've got one customer. She comes in worried about her job, and she will scan each product until she finds one that has the lowest amount.
Yep.
And then she's like, I'll take this, which once again, a great
Yeah, it's
tool
open.
to know exactly what's in the bag.
Right.
Me personally, I feel safer with your product and the flower product because I feel that I know what it is.
Right.
I know where it has come from. I can read the full testing that's going through on it. I know that it hasn't been monkeyed with.
Right.
It is what it is. It's plain and simple as that. I've also found that I love the way this tastes. When you vape that product right there.
Does it tastes different when you burn it, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard, a little bit harsher.
Yeah, it's got a little bit more throat hit to it. The terpenes, and terpenes are, a technical scientific word for flavor. Right? And they are brought out much more. It's a much more floral, botanical style smell that comes out. That topical pain balm, like Emily said, and this is just from personal reports, not only myself, my mother uses it, my 10-year-old daughter uses it. My grandmother uses it. My dad uses it. My friends use it. My mom uses it on her arthritis. I use it on my neck after I've worked on the computer for too long. My daughter's growing like a weed. She grew 2.5 inches in 2 months. Yeah, I mean, just like sprouting up. So she literally has growth pains in her joints, in her arms. So she's got her own little jar. She spreads it on there.
Hiking hands.
Hiking hands. It
Oh,
works
Cold
as
weather.
it works as a wonderful moisturizer. Emily and I have been using it to spot treat acne.
I get really bad hands.
My daughter
Yeah,
has
you'll have baby hands.
I don't mean to just be
dip
dip
in,
in,
dude.
yeah,
That's,
here.
yeah. Most dermatological conditions that you're gonna come across. My daughter has eczema from time to time. That's what she uses to treat it.
Anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, CBD is
My
the
daughter struggled
number
with that,
one natural anti-inflammatory out there. In addition, the 7 ingredients that are in there that you can read all of them, and they're all organic, would be medicinally beneficial as a balm themselves. And adding 1,000 milligrams of CBD into it, 1 solid gram worth of
There you
CBD
go,
isolate
get
in
in
there
there.
goes a long way. Yeah, rub it on the knee. I have a torn ACL. Shorted a huge jump when I still lived in Colorado and I was snowboarding. Thought it was a 10-footer and it was a 15, and I just crushed everything into my knee. And when I have flare-ups, when my ACL hurts, that's what I go to.
All right, let me
One thing
use that
you
stuff.
also brought up, and this is another thing I like about your company, you brought up your daughter.
Yeah.
And you have a partner, but your families are in this business.
Yeah, for sure. Both my parents work with me now. They both recently retired. My dad was in sales for 40 or 50 years. My mom was in public relations and marketing, and I kind of brought both of them out of retirement. So now my dad handles all of our outside sales on the road. My mom helps with old school, authentic style marketing and PR that she's used to. We have Emily here to handle all of the new age social
Which
media
Emily
style
hasn't
marketing.
said much, but we do have to say that I've enjoyed meeting Emily. I've enjoyed a lot of our conversations that we've had.
Fun.
You word things exactly the way they need to be in an understandable way, and I thank you for coming down. It's been great.
Yeah, we
meeting you, man.
may have to borrow her a little bit.
I think that
You can't borrow her for too long.
Well, you can. I mean, you won't know.
Oh shit.
No, but we've been sitting down here. We did a video, and we were all talking, and it was great working with these two today.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, I've learned a lot.
I'm gonna give this stuff a try. I'm gonna give it like. Is there? I mean, I know there's instant effects.
What do we
but I would
just
think,
smoke?
The Hawaiian haze.
Hawaiian haze.
So it's a
vaporized.
sativa dominant strain.
Oh,
Yeah, we
whatever
didn't
they
smoke.
call it. Yeah.
Well, it's much different, right? Just like we talked about Granny heating it up in her toaster oven so that it's
Yeah.
active, we heated it a little bit past active so that it created a vapor off of the CBD that was in there without physically burning the plant material.
Gotcha.
So when John's done filling up that bag, if he brings over the little container, you can look in there and it'll look exactly like it did before, just a little ground up and a little bit more of a tan shade because it's been heated up to activation and a little bit past it. We're not actually combusting it though.
And we're not
Gotcha.
getting all of it, so you can save that in a
100%.
mason jar.
Yep.
And then use that. Now that's been carbonated.
Decarboxylated.
Decarb.
Boxylated.
Boxylated.
Yep.
Then you could use
Decarbed,
that
for short.
you can make a butter out of it. You could make
That-
oil
okay.
out of it. You could put right on into your
He's
mix of brownies.
100% on point. That is the best way for Granny to do it. Get Granny a vaporizer at Advanced Vapor in Westerville.
What's
right?
that run for one of those bad boys?
I have a variance of different ones. This one right here is a what's our price on that, John? Do you remember? No, that's for the big
That's
dog.
the digital.
That one right there, I think it's like
I was like $7.99.
No,
Give
it's-
me three.
No, it's like that one's like $400.
Yeah, they're German made, highly quality engineered.
Now
so.
I have other devices that could be used that are
For sure.
small and more portable, from $65, $100. There'll be multiple different devices. We would have to once again go over and talk with the consumer and see what is going to get their needs taken care of. And I mean, no matter what, I mean, I've told people before, I got something for $15 to $700.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean that the $700 is, maybe you'll come in wanting a $700 item, and then once I find out what you're looking to use it for and how you're looking to use it, I'll be like, no, I'll sell you that. But I've got something over here for $60 that's going to cover
get it done.
everything
I mean,
you're
that
looking
device
for.
right there that we're using doubles as an aromatherapy application device as well.
Oh.
You need a $7.99 one, man. That's what you need.
I mean, the $7.99 one
Just watching John over
is
there, it's
digital
like-
and
it's
tailorable.
pretty cool.
John's
Does it
using the
come
analog one.
bedazzled?
It's like the bedazzled. You know?
Yeah.
That's the Storks and Bit called Classic.
Yeah, the classic. There you go. The digital's really nice. You can dial it all the way in as opposed to turning the dial on this one physically. But, like I said, if you got Granny the vaporizer, the volcano, bought her a bag of hemp flower. Then she could vaporize it all, and everything that she took out afterwards that was done, she could save all of that, and that would be the most optimal thing for her to put into her baking recipes.
Gotcha.
Now, you didn't buy the cheap Instapod. You got the big Instapod, didn't you?
You got the 12 quart, not the 8.
I didn't know they had a 12. I thought it was 8 or something smaller, but I got the biggest one.
I don't
Maybe it
know.
was
maybe
maybe
about
10
the
and 12 or 8
middle.
and 10.
It was like 6 and 8, I think.
I got
is
the
what it
small
was.
one.
I think I got the daddy. I don't know.
You got to get the biggest.
Yeah.
The big
I think
one.
they called it Hawaiian Haze or something.
The
I knew
big
it
one's
was
got
big.
an air fryer attachment that you can add
The
on the top
newest
to
ones,
it.
yeah, I didn't get it. Now, let me see.
Now,
Now, on this device here too, it will pay for itself
Oh, my
whenever
God.
you're using it, because what you would smoke in one of the pre-rolls, you will get times, and I'm going to say 8 times 8.
I was about to say 10.
10 to 8. I didn't want to go too high. You get like
it takes your
10
$12
times.
pre-roll that you would normally puff on 3 to 5, 5 to 7 times, and you're easily going to get 10 to 12 uses out of it. I mean,
Easy.
we filled up the bag 3 times off 0.2 of 1 gram, and there's 1.1 to 1.2 grams in every pre-roll. So you do the math on it. I mean,
Check me for HGN.
I don't have a stimulus, but
I'll just use your finger.
yeah, your eyes are jumping.
Interesting.
Did you know? Is that why you asked me that? Can
Yeah,
you
I was
feel-
curious if it caused
They definitely.
nystagmus.
Can you see? You see what I'm talking about?
I did.
Get a
Let's do
pen.
it
Let's do
again.
it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do
Get
it
a pen. I got a pen right over there. I do believe.
we people still write?
We still write.
right. Do-
We still write. This.
That's an HDMI cable.
Nobody's got. Yeah.
Or he's got it.
Nobody's got a pen.
You
Watch
gave
his
him the
eyes when he
pre-roll
moves.
tube.
Oh,
There
you
you
go.
go.
That's
Here,
what we need.
use this joint right here.
So we're doing a nystagmus test on Steve. Bill's doing
Go
it.
all the way out to maximum deviation.
This is not medically certified, by the way.
Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see his eyes?
He looks way more focused than he did 20 minutes ago.
You see that? You see him pulsing?
Yeah. Yeah, you got a little bit of
Yeah, a little nystagmus. Not as crazy as I've seen in some videos where somebody's just wasted out of their gourd, but it's there for sure.
Interesting.
You must have taken that pill you've been marketing. That I don't know.
This is the nystagmus pill.
Causes
This is it.
nystagmus. You found it.
So here it is.
You found it.
This is it. I mean, I see you're going to be a millionaire and you didn't even know why.
Wow.
Because
I knew I came here for a reason.
like let's say what we're testing for is something called horizontal gaze nystagmus, which is a condition in your eyes that causes them to sort of flutter or not follow a stimulus smoothly. And when you're pulled over on the side of the road and you see somebody pulled over on the side of the road and you see a cop with a pen doing that stuff.
Right.
Everybody always asks us, well, I know I passed that one. And I'm just like, no, you don't.
Nobody passed it.
No, you
this
don't
is-
know.
but
It's involuntary.
Right.
And what it does is alcohol, among maybe other things, causes this condition in your eyes. So a good trained police officer with experience, that's about as close as any field sobriety test, to the extent that is one, will get to being accurate, I guess, if you correlate it to a breath test. Like good cops will tell you within a certain
Better than ABCs backwards or walking the line.
by a huge margin.
77%. If they do it correctly, there's a 77. This is what the book tells
That's
me.
what the government says.
There's
I
a
don't believe it.
77% chance you would blow 0.1 or higher on a breath test.
Wow.
So I wanted to create something called a nystagmus pill. So when the cop pulls you over and let's say maybe you've had too much to drink, maybe you haven't, who knows, and he asks you, have you taken any medication or anything else? You're like, no, I mean, just something my buddy gave me, this pill, they said it's nystagmus?
It causes something like
Nystagmus?
nystag something. Do you know what that is?
Nystagmus. Oh, nystagmus. Yeah. So because it mimics what alcohol does, obviously.
Yeah.
So now I'm just going to say, no, I've just been using hemp.
But that's odd. It's odd from what you're doing there because I don't know that cannabis should be triggered or able to be noticed in the horizontal gaze
Well, it's not
nystagmus.
cannabis.
It is.
It's not THC, I guess.
Hybridized
So
cannabis.
I don't know. That's it. That's interesting.
I've never read anything.
In
They do
vertical,
a vertical. yeah.
vertical nystagmus, there's I think some talk that you can see impairment by THC, but I didn't know horizontal. No,
Who at this table on these microphones has everybody smoked weed before or THC rich cannabis?
I'm going to.
I didn't
remain,
inhale.
Okay. You're going to refrain as well. I'm just wondering if the
Yes.
CBD was a new experience for anybody and if
It was totally new for me because I've had CBD products and I was, I listened to the different podcasts and I've done reading where I'm like, wow, this might be great because I struggle with anxiety, stress, all that stuff too. It might be a great alternative. So I would go on Amazon or something, or then I ended up getting some from him and it was liquid.
Right.
And I'm not saying it was bad. It
you
wasn't.
just couldn't tell the effect.
It wasn't that.
Now, look, can I
Yeah.
ask you this? Do you feel quote unquote high
No.
or inebriated
No.
or encumbered or
No.
fuzzy or any of that?
The only feeling I had some warmth,
Ooh, okay.
and just it did really. And she pointed out, she's like, "Wow, you guys are all sort of leaned up in your microphones, and all three of you sort of calmed down."
We all just sort of went back.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I'm not thinking clearly or hazy or high or anything like
So
that. No,
you feel you could comfortably go operate?
absolutely,
Cool.
100%. Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
wonderful.
feel that at all.
no.
I wonder, I play music. I play classical guitar.
I had no
And
idea.
I wonder how this would work, or even if you're going to go to court. Right? We were just talking about this the other day. We were talking about stage fright, and I suffer from it when it comes to that stuff. And I wonder how that would.
Anti-anxiety
Maybe.
focus. Our facility, we're very fortunate to be in a building with something like 80 to 100 other artists. It's a huge mixed-use building in Indianapolis, and I once again invite you guys to come and check it out. We have the largest First Friday art walk in our building. It's phenomenal. Place is called Circle City Industrial Complex. We host the indoor winter farmers market there as well every Saturday that we have a booth at. But we have a lot of artists that'll come to us in the midst of a deadline or a project or before First Fridays, and they're like, "Can I get a pre-roll?" So they'll stop by the booth in the Saturday morning and grab one, and then go work 12 or 14 hours on a piece, literally focused completely out. Like Jared mentioned, he hates doing his paperwork for work, like most business owners. I hate doing the paperwork as well. I know my partner does. I know you guys, being attorneys, probably hate paperwork just like cops do as well. They hate paperwork too. But here's Jared over here, halfway through his paperwork, like, I didn't even notice I'm doing it.
Well, and that was what got me. I was like, I'll try this out.
Yeah.
But then when I was doing it, and then at one point I kind of looked back and I saw how my papers were all lined up,
Organized,
And
how
and
in the
everything was there, and
zone
I was
you
like-
were.
I was like, now is this a placebo, or
Yeah,
is this
right.
really? Did this have a part of how I'm able to get things
100%,
together?
In my personal opinion, it
As
did.
I sit here now and was talking, I'm better listener right now. I'm more, instead of me thinking the thing I'm going to say, I was listening.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's what I think. If society was more like that, we would be
Right.
way, way more advanced right now. If
Right.
everybody was a little bit of a better listener.
Yeah, 100%. So I have a kind of off-topic
Go.
question.
Go shoot.
Mako
Left
Hemp
field.
Company. How'd you
Yeah.
come up? Did you come up with the name Mako?
Oh, dude, great story, right? So me and the partners sat around 2 weeks straight. Each one of us wrote down over 100 names on notebook paper,
Really?
literally trying to come up, branding everything. All right, let's sit around for our meeting this week. What do you got? What do you got? Let's go to town. Typed in the first one. Fuck, that's a company. Damn it, that one's taken.
We know this.
Damn it, that one's
Yeah, I know
taken
this
too. I
pain.
mean, literally,
Yeah.
we went through like 300 plus names. And then one of my partners was like, all right, I'm going a completely different route. And he started looking in other languages.
Okay.
Yeah, Mako in Maori, which is like the islander, the tribe from New Zealand.
Okay.
It means shark.
Oh,
That's why you have
sweet.
Mako sharks.
Okay.
Yep,
All right. That
yep.
makes sense.
And
I like that.
Yeah, we incorporate, our graphics designer incorporated the little
I like that
sprouting
there's a
plant leaf.
story behind it.
For sure.
I think
it's
that's
not the best story, but
not the worst.
No.
Yeah.
But we wanted something catchy. We wanted something that was pretty short and sweet,
Yeah.
easy to brand with. I don't know, it's palatable on your tongue.
Yeah, it's good.
Mako.
I think it works.
Mako.
What's the?
Uh-oh.
I like to rhyme it
Better
with
call
things.
Mako.
Yeah,
Mako, the paint thing.
yeah.
Hey man, they'll hemp you out, bro.
Hemp you out.
They'll hemp
They
you
will.
out.
They will hemp you out.
Are you going to pick up an order here?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think I'm just going to send everybody home with some pre-rolls and some product. You can try it. The next time we all meet up, then we can have some more honest feedback once we're out
Yeah.
of the room and
Yeah.
try it in a couple different forms, because we've been vaporizing it, right? This is a first for me too, using a high-end, dry herb vaporizer style like the Volcano. Used them plenty of times before, but not with my own product, and it's fabulous. I mean,
So when you do it, do you normally just use a pre-roll?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
they are the easiest. I mean, that's why we make them, is for convenience. Even in my prior formidable years as a teenager smoking THC-rich cannabis, it used to be fun to roll joints. Then it just became cumbersome.
Yeah.
And then it just became a bitch. And now that they're rolled up and easy to use and in a resealable bag, in a resealable tube is the best part, right? I mean, before we got on the air, I ran outside, fired one up, took 4 or 5 hits out of it, clicked it back in the tube, zipped it back in the bag. No one else around was able to smell it. No one knew what I was doing. They don't need to know. right? I mean, it's
Gotcha.
And
So
it's
one
going
of
to
those
be
things.
kind of up to you, to your choice. Once again, I mean, I've got a small device that wouldn't have to set up a big bag there for your family. I've got a small one that you could utilize.
Family.
And,
my
um,
wife will
I
love
mean, that's
that.
what the Volcano's for. It's for sharing.
Yeah.
That's why they make
That's-
it. You can make the bag any size. I mean,
Yeah.
you can adapt it and put a 55-gallon trash bag on the end of that thing and really fill it up if you wanted to. But you can pass around the circle. But there's handheld personal ones, like Jared said, as cheap as $50-$60. You can be into one of these little devices and not be combusting the flower, but still
Yeah.
vaporizing the THC off of it.
And then do you have the same thing you'd see in like a medical marijuana shop, or a medical THC cannabis shop? Sorry, I didn't
You
wanna
can
use that
call it
term.
that.
There's
You can use it that way.
dispensaries.
right?
But is it like for sleep? For like this one's called Lifter.
Yeah. Don't
that-
confuse the name. The lifter will put you right to bed.
Oh, okay.
So
So,
what,
is it
what-
all
yeah,
more
go-
directed towards sleep and anxiety?
So that's the kicker, right? CBD on a whole is geared towards that with your
Okay.
body and your makeup.
Gotcha.
The majority of what you take is going to rest, relax you, eat in anxiety.
Is
appetite
the
aid.
names and the different flavors, or are they?
So some of them are pioneer genetics by companies like Oregon CBD and the Stanley Brothers. Some of these gentlemen were at the forefront of, the hybridization projects that were happening with the hemp and the cannabis. Some of them are names that were made up, just like Snickle Fritz, right? Or any other name of THC-rich cannabis that you've seen and been like, Bill's Blue, what? Like,
Yeah.
what is this? Somebody
Yeah.
made this name up.
Right.
They're just trying to call it their own strain. I mean, we've seen plenty of celebrities and rappers come out and endorse their
Right.
own strain of cannabis that
Yeah.
they had. And then when you look up the genus behind it and the parents and the phenotypes of that, you find out that it really is just Star Dog or Chem
Yeah,
Dog
right,
or
right.
some other notoriable strain. So, that's something else too. We get presented with tons of flower all the time. For every 100 batches of flower that we're presented, we might pick one of them up. Most
really?
people do not pass muster for our QC. Like Jared said, I come from a long line of manufacturing e-liquid. And prior to being in the vape industry and running and building retail stores, and then we met through the wholesale distribution side. I used to be one of the largest suppliers of products to the vapor stores. And then I took that and scaled into large-scale manufacturing and, was played part and helped build the single largest e-liquid manufacturing that the state of Indiana has ever seen. And so I took everything that I learned there through quality control and actually going through real FDA regulations, building clean rooms, going through batch labeling processes, tamper evident, child resistant packaging, and taking all of that. I geared all of that towards my hemp flower, and the same with how we procure that product as well. I lived in Colorado for many years as well. Worked in the medical marijuana industry during its inception through 2009, 2010, 2011, and was kind of at the forefront of that when it was still kind of the Wild West and stuff. So I took a lot of what I learned there and put that towards our procurement process as well. So like I said, if we get presented with 100 different batches of flower from 100 different farms, we might pick one of them if we're lucky. Most people do not pass taste, test, quality. We didn't like what their facility looked like. They maybe didn't have drying on site. That's one of the big things about this quote unquote green rush that's happening again, right? That first green rush went through California and into Colorado and what's happened in their medical markets into recreation. Now with the hemp being federally legal, there's another green rush, if you want to call it that, that's upon us. And a lot of these people are getting into it, but they're not doing everything right. They might have a huge farm. They might go and try to plant 10,000 plants. And then you go to the farm and they're like, yep, we're about to harvest this all next week. And it's like, cool, where's it going? Where are you putting this? I don't see a pole barn around here. I don't see anywhere.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, we were hoping you could help us with that. And it's like, all right, have a nice day.
Yeah, see ya.
I'm getting back in my car and driving away because it's like, we worked with a farm, one in Virginia and another one in North Carolina, and we thought they had everything in the row, and then they sent us pictures of the product after it had been harvested, and it was all stacked in a pile on a tarp inside of a barn. It's like, no. Where we got a friend that does all of our isolate production for our Mako balm, so we're zero waste on that. So anything we trim off the flower, we send to an extraction facility, and they make us our own CBD isolate out of all of our flower that we then use to put back into our pain balm. That gentleman himself grows amazing hemp. And one of the things he prided himself on was once those plants were cut from the ground, they never touched the ground again. So he literally went over off of every little 3-branch stem or whatever, hand cut them, 2 hands, 1 piece per hand, and went over to the drying racks and hung them. And then they came down and they were hand QC'd and hand trimmed. You know, and it's that type of product that we're looking for. Small batch, done well, grown right. These people know what curing means. They know how to flush their plants. They're not feeding them horrible things. We're looking for a lot of organic production as well, too.
You know what we need to get into?
What?
We need to turn this into a commodity.
This?
We need to start buying futures
That's already out there.
Oh, there you go.
and then resell them.
Maybe.
That's what we need to do.
So you're saying they're out there?
They're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's if it's not traded yet, I bet it's gonna be just like orange juice and pork bellies.
Well, that's the thing too, and you know, I tell a lot of people that we get approached by a lot of people that want to do white label or make their own because they think that they can do it, right? You know, I have years of experience in manufacturing and a huge passion behind what I do, which is, you know, I took a lot of what I knew and what I cared about and put it together, and now I'm in business for myself. A lot of people think that there's easy money in what we do, and yeah, sure, you can do it yourself. Are you going to be doing it right? Are you covering all your bases? Are you going to be able to stand the test of time? And
Well, no, I mean, look, I know I deal with this with clients all the time. I mean, you're passionate about what you do and how you get this product to this bag at this time. And you not only know it, but you care. And that's a huge thing. You're not going to get that in the huge or the big markets where you're just buying online somewhere that you don't know. I mean, there's a difference. This is a unique.
Did you hear that? Trying to get this lid off. It's got squeeze right here.
yeah, that's that pop seal.
Yeah, there's always a niche for the best. You know, there's always room for somebody who does what they do very, very well, and I think that's just true across the board. I mean, you may not be able to compete with the people selling it at CVS in mass quantities, but who
I
wants
don't want
that?
to.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not your.
you don't
It's
want
not
to.
what I'm in business for.
Yeah,
It's like I had this image of what beer was when I was younger, and then I
Right.
started drinking people that really cared about making beer, and it's like it's night and day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same with coffee.
Oh, I agree.
100%. Yeah.
I wasn't even that big of a coffee drinker, and then somebody gave me this real
a
dark
real cup of coffee.
espresso. Oh, and now I've got this
Yeah, once I switched
traditional
to Maxwell House
macchiato
Dark.
thing going, where they put a little float of foam on top of my 2 espresso shots. Dude, it's heaven.
You need to switch to Maxwell House Dark.
Jesus.
I love Maxwell House.
Dark silk.
That's like the
The key
I
is
like
putting a little
Speedway coffee.
scoop of cinnamon in with that Folgers, that Maxwell House. It'll make it taste gourmet. Just a little
you
dash.
like you said before that you could put the coconut oil product you guys have.
Oh yeah, you could put that right in the coffee and make
Yeah.
your own little CBD bullet coffee right there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I think we got lots more to do. What's the plan? We need to do a follow up so we can all maybe do like a 2 or 3 or 4 weeks.
I'd love to try the coffee too.
I can come back.
Oh,
Yeah, but as long as you
Can
as long
Emily
as you
come-
bring-
can
as long as
Emily
you
come
bring-
back?
As long as you bring
Here's
Emily
what I think.
and you bring more of this stuff.
I
All
think
right.
you need a show. That's what I think you need.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a CBD and hemp podcast.
Yeah.
I think
You-
that's
you might need
that's
it.
needed.
You might
All right.
need that. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I
down.
think
I
that's
got
there.
lots of people in the industry that would love to come on.
I would
Growers,
like to get Dan
farmers.
Buckley and see if we couldn't go up, stay a night in Indiana, go to your farmer's market, walk
That'd be
through,
wonderful.
talk to some other people,
Yep.
let people know what's going on out
That'd be
there.
great. Maybe I can talk to the market manager, and you guys can be recording right there during the farmers market.
Yeah, sounds like a Channel 511 project to me. Yeah,
It's a good
indeed.
thing we don't
Bill you
have
down.
many.
I'll bring more flour. I'll try to bring Emily. I'll bring another like-minded guest with me as well. What do you guys want to talk to? A farmer next? You want to talk to?
I would
a-
love to talk to a farmer.
I'll say this.
Here's what we need. Here's where we need to go with this. If we're going to talk to a farmer, we need to talk to a farmer that is a believer in global warming,
climate change.
climate change.
One for it or against it?
believer that
Believer,
that it's
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we have somebody that wants to refute that. So if we could find somebody, we could have a little debate. What do you think?
Now on that,
Sounds
there
like a
was
heated
there,
podcast.
there was multiple
We like
shows
heat,
that
dude.
we could have
Yeah.
done here.
No,
we
it's-
can chill everybody out with the product.
There
here.
you go. Right. You
It's-
guys bring the
everybody
heat.
calm
I'll bring
down,
the
dude.
CBD.
But that's
and
one of those
we'll
issues
meet
we
in
were
the
talking
middle.
about. It doesn't have to be heated. It just can be a
Well, it's not
casual
going to be
discussion.
heated if he's here.
Well,
Right.
it can just
Yeah,
be a
Mako,
casual
dude.
Q&A.
Everyone chill.
Got every Mako product they make around here.
There was multiple discussions as we were doing the lighting and focus of the cameras between Emily and Steve that were very. I was like, man, that was a show. Dan even said it.
They
at one
need to
point in
have
time.
their
He
own
was like,
podcast together.
They
Yeah.
definitely do, and it was good because you guys really weren't that far off on many things, but you guys were both listening to each other and respecting the other
Did you guys
guy's
get into
opinion.
politics?
No.
Well, not
a little psychology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
psychology,
Like
life
views.
lessons.
There was
views.
politics involved in all
I
of
got a
those.
lot of
Yes.
student loans, Palmer. We need all to vote for Bernie, I guess.
It'll be free that way. It's easy.
Yeah.
CBD will be free too.
A
wait,
topic for another day.
Yeah.
Let's stay with this beautiful hemp product here.
Yeah. All right. Well, so what we're going to do, I think you do need a podcast. I think that should probably be part of your education, because I mean, really, a lot of what you do is, I know you're selling, and that's part of it, but it's not really selling when you really believe it and you know it like you know it, and you're educating people. It sort of is take it or leave it. This is the best of what's out there. So if you need this, I can supply you. I mean, it really is. It is that simple, and it's.
I mean, you and Tyler need a podcast.
Tyler would be great on a podcast, especially if you don't have to put him on film. He'd go.
He's your
to
partner.
Town. He is.
He'd excel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
What's a Vapo with Mako?
There you go. What's the Vapo with Mako?
Vapo with Mako.
I mean,
the Vape Cast.
You know, something else that would be great for you guys to come out is, we threw the very first hemp smoke out that our city had seen. Now, unfortunately, it was a little rushed on the last minute planning. We tried to do it to coincide with our 1 year, and then I got a couple friends that own a Jamaican restaurant in town. They were having their 1 year party, so I was like, yo, let us sponsor it. I'll bring 300 pre-rolls. We'll get everybody blazing hemp in your parking lot. It'll be awesome. And then it dumped 8 inches of snow on the parking lot. And it was on a Sunday too, like 2 weeks before Christmas. So everyone was busy with work parties and shopping and family in town. And so we didn't get the attendance that we wanted. But we're going to start throwing more of these. So maybe we get you guys to come out.
They came in
It's
town.
year one. It's Firefest. That's kind of stuff happens, man.
We'll sell huge tickets to the Mako
They came out
Firefest.
last night. They stayed the night, and we went to the show and saw Jason Banks. And,
Jason was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great
Funny
show.
guy. He's
it was
great,
a
man.
great show. It really was.
Yeah, it's and another great podcast. That's the Comedians at South High. That's Jared's other roundtable discussion.
So, I mean, we can bring Mako on there. I think we would fare very well with the comedians.
You definitely need. Yeah, you need to join them.
I mean,
for
I
sure.
thought I was about to get roasted by a couple lawyers, but I'll go on comedians on South High and
And
get
you
roasted
will
by a
get
couple.
roasted.
Yeah, I'll
You
get
really
roasted.
will get
So we
roasted.
can be the 2 token white guys on there getting
man.
roasted.
Yeah, you're going to have a harder time on that show than this one. So I mean, this might be the official CBD product of the show here, huh?
That's it.
Of course, I don't have any others, but this one is.
Now
the
you-
official.
now you do.
No,
It's
we
at the
do.
bar
We
high,
have
though.
options to have
It is
others
a high
because
bar, yeah.
I do sell other products in my store, which I believe in these people as well. I've looked into their product and gone through with it. Now, like I say, I believe in this flower more than I do the tinctures, and I have been explained to why.
Yeah, now you know,
because
yeah.
of the time and what you're actually absorbing, what you're
Not
going
just
through.
that. Oh, no, go.
I was
Please,
saying,
Emily.
How many people come in? So I actually give my dog the tincture, because he is high anxiety, and I drops him in the water in the morning, like bad. Like I can't bring him to the dog park.
Oh my.
He's a wild.
What kind of dog is it?
I'll go for this story real quick.
He's an African village dog. He's from East Africa,
Oh,
from
that's
Tanzania.
awesome. Did you have trouble getting him back in the country?
Only with the aircraft for the last leg of my flight. We're actually one of the easiest countries to bring dogs into, and it was kind of like fate in how it ended up working out. I found him, I was there for 3 months. I found him 2 weeks in. So I was able to find vaccinations and his export permit. And when I was trying to get him on my ticket, I was in a cafe and I was, shoddy Wi-Fi, and I was on my phone I was going to lose my ticket back, and I was trying to get a ticket on the proper aircraft into the States. And we started looking in the Northeast, and then the whole East Coast, and then the Midwest, and then, out. I was going to have to fly into California, drive cross country back to New York, and I was getting my credit card out to pay for the new flight, and the phone call dropped. And then I saw a woman walk in with dogs, and I looked at her and was like, "You're a traveler. I can tell. How have you traveled with these dogs before? I need to know." And she was a boarder there and thought I was a girl who had called her previously in the week. And I don't think she wanted to deal with either of us. And so she gave me this girl's number for us to work it out, figure it out together. And I called her. She goes, "Your voice sounds like my voice. Where are you from?" We were from the same city. Leaving the same.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
Both from Buffalo.
Both
Whoa.
in Tanzania at the
Both
same
in
time?
Tanzania,
Wow.
same time, flying out the same day.
Both bringing home village
Little
dogs.
puppies that we saved,
Wow, man. Small
Yeah.
world.
right?
So is the name of the dog just because they don't know what it is?
I mean, that's what I call him. Cause
Oh, okay. I thought it was an actual name.
He kind
100%
of
you
looks
guess it.
like a hyena.
Yeah.
Oh,
His name's
okay.
Boda.
Okay.
Boda?
Yeah.
Boda.
Boda.
And
I might be getting a dog. Mako That's a sharp name.
Oh,
Right?
dude,
For a dog,
for
dude.
sure. I will get you a hemp dog collar,
Yeah.
100% with branded and everything. Mako the
That's
dog.
like a new level of sponsorship. I
and
Yeah.
he
feel
can
like.
come on the new
Yeah.
podcast.
You
That's
need
a
to
great
teach
name.
him how to use that.
Well, what's
the
that
bag.
mean? It means shark.
Right.
It's a great name for a dog,
That's
dude.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mako's
So,
a good name.
I'm gonna hold
yeah.
you to that.
I was gonna. My family kind of likes Carlos,
How
but
about your next kid?
I can't have kids anymore.
That's what he thinks.
So
We need somebody who will pledge a child.
Pledge a child.
I think
You're going a little
Mako,
far here.
To keep it PG-13, I think Jared still has ammunition in the gun. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wow.
All right.
No
well,
response?
Yeah, there's all.
right,
Everybody's
all right.
just
Yeah, no
down
response
on
on that.
All right, yeah, that's
Yeah,
everyone's
all right.
super chill. So chill they didn't want to respond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. All right. Well, lots of stuff going on here. Obviously, we've brought up the Comedians on South High. Jared does this show, the Comedians on South High. You can check out that website where.
Comediansonsouthhigh.com.
Wow, that's creative. You guys came up with a good
great.
one there. That's awesome. But all that going on here at Channel 511. We are in Studio C, of course, talking on the microphones that only sound good because Freddie B is taking care of it up at Studio B.
The Bug.
That's at the Berg. We got Dwayne Napper, a friend of the show, been on the show, jamming up at Freddie's studio. They can they're laying down the tracks for his.
Still hoping for June. We're hoping for June to finish the whole album.
You know, some artists takes them a year. Not at Studio B.
That's Studio B.
We rock it out in just a couple months, and only like 5 sessions too, because unfortunately the flu has struck. But
Yes.
anyway, that's why the sound and the audio is so perfect here at Lawyer Talk, is because Freddie B's making it happen. The photographs, all the video you see, that is Dan Buckley at Dan Buckley Photography. And again, that doesn't happen by accident. You know, he sees stuff. You just look at it and he says, no, it's not in focus, or the color's not right, and you don't even know why, but he's right.
If you have more questions about Mako, like to physically see the product, hear more about it, please come to Advanced Vapor Westerville, 536 South State Street, Westerville, Ohio. Stop by. We'll show it to you. You can look at it.
They got all these great products here.
Now-
I may be stopping by.
I definitely would stop by, except I don't have to. I'll just have you bring
Yeah, I'll
products
just
right
bring it
here
right
to
to you.
me, and maybe I'll get a discount. Maybe not. I'll pay full price.
Just call
for
me
the
back
sake of-
and I'll bring products back to the round
All right,
table.
I'll-
for you.
I'll
It sounds
I'm
like
gonna- I'm gonna
he
jump your-
will hook you up with a discount if
Skipping
you
the
name your
middleman.
dog after.
Skipping the
Mako.
middleman. I'm going
Good
right
to
to the
go.
source. You know, we work with Circle 270 Media. He is a podcast consultant, and of course, he is vital to the team here. All that happening right here on Lawyer Talk and Channel 511, where we are off the record on the air, this time with vape in hand. And by the way, you can always check that out at Channel 511 on YouTube. And if there's any trouble there, you know what to do. Just go to channel511.com, scroll to the bottom, click on the YouTube icon. It'll take you right there. Ring the bell. You'll get notice of all the great content, including Jared's interview here with Ian from Mako.
And Ian, where can we find your stuff?
At makohemp.com, MakoHemp. And then our secondary site where we sell all the rest of the third-party products we distribute is mysimplecbd.com.
And I'm sure there you will find all sorts of information about these products. I can't imagine that you wouldn't have lots of good educational material out there.
Yep.
And of course, back to Advanced Vapor. You want to try out these products, and you don't want to drive all the way to Indianapolis. You get to go right to your local owned Jared Blinsky Advanced Vapor Westerville and check it out in person tonight.
Same price as internet, no shipping.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you
it's
can meet
easy.
the man behind.
Well, you can
3
get
different podcasts now.
you can get some personal feedback from his employees who I know have tried all of my product, and I talk and have engaged with all of them. They all have my phone number if they need to call and ask questions. I mean, we're very open and transparent about that. And even what I wanted to talk about earlier with you guys, you know, you said you've tried some oils. Jared said he's the firmest believer in the flower, and that's not because even if you hadn't met me, even if you hadn't talked, when you try the two things side by side, like you said, Beard, you can feel it.
Yep.
Right? Everyone here at the table felt what we used. You felt it in a very timely fashion, and it is the most economical way for any consumer to purchase CBD and get it into their system.
Yeah, this is and that's a great point. This is my first time. I think I tried CBD once before. I noticed nothing. No impact, nothing whatsoever. This is there was a noticeable change in my being here
In your demeanor.
and my demeanor. Yeah. So I'm sold. I'm going to give it a shot for a month when we come back.
made Steve a believer?
I'm a believer, man.
We made the Beard a believer. We made Steve a believer.
Yeah.
Jared
I've
was
always been a
already a believer.
believer.
Yeah.
I think this is a win.
This is a win.
This is a
It's
win,
been a great day.
no matter what. And if you've had a great time, either listening to this, listening to all the other awesome content, we now have a Patreon account. You believe that, Jeff? People can actually pay and donate money for the cause.
That's awesome. Have we gotten $1 yet?
I doubt it.
All right, so somebody
$1 a
be
month,
the
that's
first,
all.
man. Somebody be the first.
I mean,
And if you're gonna do $1, you might as well do 10.
well, anybody pay 1 would pay 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or we could have Mako. We could have Mako sponsor. We can just put a big Mako table up in
Yeah,
here.
I mean, if they
And
would
I think our
sponsor us, we could
podcast
get rid of
would
the-
inevitably get a lot better.
If we could
More
get a
enjoyable,
sponsor,
think clear.
I thought Mako was the official hemp of
It is.
Lawyer Talk Podcast.
you are the official hemp.
Oh, okay.
This is the first day. Yeah.
The official
Yeah.
CBD.
Yeah, the official CBD product of Lawyer Talk and Channel 511. We probably got some coffee coming too. That'll be available in the marketplace sooner or later here, hopefully sooner. And we
Get some-
probably ought to CBD that up too. I
Yeah, we'll
think.
get some 511 CBD coffee in there for sure.
Yep, I think we need to make that happen as well. So what a
Just
great
make
day.
sure you drink it after 511.
Yeah, 5:11 p.m.
Yeah.
unless you're just
I
going
like
to
it.
work.
I like that. It's the 5:11 p.m. coffee.
The PM
There you go.
coffee.
Mhm.
Oh, it's perfect.
That's wonderful.
yeah, we got
Slice
the
of
AM and
pie.
the PM.
After your meal, drink a coffee. Now it's time for the couch.
I like pie.
And now it's time for Mako.
Beard is now the sound effects agent.
He is. He's got a lot of them. He's got a lot of them. All right. Well, that has been Lawyer Talk off the record, on the air, smoking, puffing, and vaping CBD. What a great day. So that is it until I already screwed up the end, didn't I?
It's all right. Thank you guys for having us on.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. We're
Very
off the
much
record,
enjoyed it.
on the air until now.
Oh, that was awesome.